Now I'm happy to tell you that Dr. Quinton Hennigh is with us to provide an update on Lion One Metals. That's a company that is developing a very exciting high-grade alkaline gold project in Fiji. Lion One trades in Toronto, LIO is a symbol, in the U.S. LOMLF. 156 million shares, $1.13 Canadian money earlier today when I last checked it, giving it a market cap of around $176 million. Well, thank you, Dr. Quinton Hennigh, and thank you so much for being with us again to update us on Tuvatu. You are a technical advisor to the company and very much in tune with this company and its alkaline style project. So thank you for joining us again.
Absolute delight, Jay.
Well, after Lion One, like many companies, but I think Lion One maybe more than many, was sort of delayed with the COVID virus. It sort of set it back more than some others. But now the news is starting to flow once again from the company's Tuvatu project. Well, with some pretty impressive drill results on July 7th, they reported them. Can you give us an update on what these latest drill results mean and perhaps a bigger picture of what the company is doing? I know they have a three-tier approach. There's three different drill programs going on simultaneously, essentially. So could you give us an update on the latest results and what they mean?
Certainly. Look, I'm going to set the stage by talking about the three tiers you mentioned. The company does have 6 rigs operating on site right now. The rigs include 2 deep capacity surface rigs. These can drill holes in excess of 1 kilometer deep. So they're testing deep targets underneath the Tuvatu resource, but also going to be testing deep targets under new areas that we've identified, namely Banana Creek, which is about 3.5 kilometers northeast of Tuvatu. We're gonna go out and kind of hunt lions, big, or elephants, I guess is a better term. Hunt elephants in the big picture here. We want to find the deep rooted structures that we've identified by CSAMT. Test those, see if we can't find some more high-grade feeders. All right, so that's one tier. Second tier of drilling, shallow infill rigs, two shallow surface rigs are doing infill drilling around the Tuvatu resource. That drilling is geared towards identifying areas for upcoming mining. The company is now moving the project towards production. I think the additions they've made here recently with staff, you can see that they're very serious about building a mine at Tuvatu. So those rigs are going to be working on an ongoing basis to infill critical areas ahead of that mine plan. The last 2 rigs are underground rigs. They're rigs that are capable of doing infill around the Tuvatu resource, but also reaching down and testing some of the deep areas underneath the existing Tuvatu resource, tapping those high-grade structures that were identified beginning last year. All right, so we have those 3 tiers, deep surface rig, 2 shallow surface rigs, and then 2 underground rigs that are all going to be working in concert to undertake aggressive exploration throughout the remainder of this year. Now, the results. We have some significant results from the deeper part of the system here recently. In this last news release, there were 2 notable intercepts that really tell us that the system is alive and well at depth. We have 6 meters grading 9.11 gram per ton gold, beginning at about 444 meters downhole depth in hole 526. And then we have a 2.15 meter intercept grading 17.7 gram per ton gold at a depth of 505 meters, 0.65 downhole depth in hole 528. Now, what do these mean? They're not just one-off random intercepts. These are actually testing, very sizable extensions of known lodes in this system. So we're reaching down and we're testing, aggressively testing extensions at depth of these lodes, and we're finding them. We're actually able to identify and hit these things. What it means, to put it in perspective, the Tuvatu resource delivers about maybe 2,500 to 3,000 ounces per vertical meter. Mm-hmm. So by poking some holes down deep underneath the existing resource, you can start to see that the picture is going to grow dramatically as we go down below. And that's going to improve even more so as they get into mining, put the decline down, put other access in to drill from, we will be able to grow this deposit significantly over the coming years. It's really a good news story, but I don't want to de-emphasize the work that we're doing elsewhere on the property. I think by the end of this year, you're going to see that one deep capacity rig that's testing these new targets, Banana Creek included. I think they'll deliver some exciting results, and we should see, we'll call it the next Tuvatu and the next Tuvatu. We'll see the whole thing kind of come together and crystallize for investors.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are deep systems, aren't they, Quinton? I mean, they come up to surface. Obviously, the mining that is planned is right at or near surface. But I guess once you're able to mine, you can keep drifting down into these high grade sections. Do you have a sense of what sort of widths you might be looking at, mining widths, or is it too early to know?
Look, these deposits generally deliver a high grade, but albeit somewhat narrow vein. We don't call them veins; we call them lodes. The reason we call them lodes is because if you look at the mineralization, what it is it's a fracture zone about 1 meter, 2 meters wide, something like this, in which innumerable little tiny fractures contain a very, very high grade gold. Mm-hmm. They're persistent for long lengths along strike, but as you said, to depth, these things go for who knows how far. They go down and down and down. These are not shallow epithermal systems. They're deep rooted. They're basically created by magmas. Think of this as the throat of a volcano. Okay, and somewhere down in the ground below this was a magma chamber. The mothership that was generating the fluids that produce these deposits. And as that magma chamber cooled, solidified, crystallized, the elements like gold, which really can't find a home in most rock-forming minerals, those metals get flushed out, and they get flushed upwards into the fractures in the ground above. So, we're talking about a lot of runway at depth. The mines that come to mind, like Cripple Creek here in Colorado, is, I think, on the order of 1,300 meters. The Porgera deposit, I believe, is at least that deep, if not deeper, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of examples of very deep alkaline systems, all very high grade.
Mm-hmm. Well, the good news here is that Lion One, I believe, has permission to go ahead and start producing, or to at least build a mine, right?
They're fully permitted, yes. They are fully permitted for production.
Right, and so that means that if they were just a junior that had to do all this deep drilling to prove up a deposit, it would be difficult and costly. But Lion One can actually start producing and then just continue to ramp down into this high-grade deposit.
That is correct. Yes, the company is laying plans to go into production, like I said, and they've hired the staff to do it here recently. They have great staff to begin with, but the recent additions, Patrick Hickey, for example, I've known for many years. He worked at Newmont about the same time I did. He knows how to build mines. That's his specialty. He built mines. He built the Batu Hijau deposit in Indonesia for Newmont. He built Mbatabi for Sumitomo Corporation in Madagascar. So he knows how to how to build mines on islands. How about that?
Yeah, well, that's really important. And so the excitement here, as you pointed out before, these alkaline systems, and this is on there are a bunch of potential targets here. You talk about Banana Creek, I think, is the one you're looking at next. But if I recall, there's several more of these systems that you're seeing evidence of on surface, right?
That's correct. Look, the corridor, the overall corridor is about 7 kilometers across. We can see the alteration. We can see the signature of the potassium alteration from geophysical work. We've done CSAMT, which is an electrical technique looking at structures in the ground, and we can see large-scale structures, deep feeder structures, all the way up through that corridor. So we're going to start up at the northeast end, which is Banana Creek, but we'll gradually test areas in between Banana Creek and Tuvatu, but then we'll also chase the system southwest of Tuvatu, where we can see, again, deep-rooted structures underneath places like Ursa Creek and targets, at the southern end of the caldera. It's an amazing system. These systems tend to generate many millions of ounces. The nearby neighbor, Vatukoula has an endowment of 11 million ounces. I think it's produced around 7 million ounces. It has resources and reserves of another 4. These are absolutely prolific systems that make great mines. I think this will be one of them.
How long are we going to have to wait for assays? I mean, is there an assay delay here for this company?
No, there is not. The company has its own analytic lab in Nandi, which is this major city that's nearby the project. The samples are cut, they're logged and then cut within, say, 3-4 days. The samples are delivered to the lab, and then it takes another 2 or 3 days to get assays. So, on the order of a week. And there's no delays right now from COVID. There was a shutdown inside the country for about, 4 or 5 weeks in late April and May. That's passed. Even though the COVID numbers, the number of documented cases has gone up here recently, they have not shut the country down. Again, the company has definitely taken every necessary protocol to make sure the workers are safe, the communities around this area are safe. But right now, it's all systems go. They can analyze samples quite quickly. Anything that tends to run over a certain threshold, say a gram per ton, they ship those samples over to Brisbane, to ALS in Australia, and get a repeat assay to check. So, they have a really good protocol in place. Everything's checked out. The repeat assays have checked out consistently. And, it's one of the most delightful stories I'm working with, because the assay, bottleneck is not an issue here. I wish I had this. I wish I had my own assay lab elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been a problem with COVID and all of that, but well funded, are they? Lion One is in good shape to carry out its program this year?
Correct. Yeah. Look, the company threw a raise last August, and then through exercise of warrants in September. They have a treasury around $60 million right now, which is plenty of money to firstly undertake the exploration, but also to get going with this mine plan that they have. So the company, has really got enough critical mass now, cash wise and people wise and so forth, that it's all systems go.
What is your hunch? Does the company have a target date? Have they made it public when they might like to start producing?
They haven't announced anything formally. I think there's been press around it in Fiji in particular, where obviously they want to see economic development. Mm-hmm. Talking around a couple-year time frame, I would say my gut says that's possible, but the official timeline has not yet been set. Yeah. I think once the new people get in place and they can kind of assess the situation, assess the logistics of getting the mine up and going, I think we'll have a better picture of exactly how long this will take. Lots of work to be done, by the way. This is going to be the first time I'm working on a project where you have intensive exploration drilling in conjunction with development. I mean, you can say that at Beaton's Creek, but we actually had drilled out Beaton's Creek, then picked up the mill. So now we're going back and drilling more, obviously. But in this case, this is going to be interesting to watch the company grow, kind of catalyze itself and go from an exploration-only company to a small producer.
Right. And the two seem to go together in this case with the people that have been brought aboard, the ability to mine at depth and continue going down. Juniors, as I say, to spend huge amounts of money to prove up enormous amounts of gold. It's very expensive. But in this case, if everything works out, you'll be able to produce and cash flow, develop, and grow it organically internally. It's really quite a story, Quinton. Anything else?
That pretty much sums it up. I would look for a steady stream of news out of the company. Yeah. I think now that everything's up and going, we should have a long stream of assay results from all these rigs that are going.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much, Quinton, for giving us this update. It's excellent. Thank you so much.